to Talking Real Estate with Champions Real Estate Team here at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company. My name is Mark Wehner II, team leader at Champions Real Estate Team. We jump on here every Wednesday and go over kind of what's going on in the real estate market. And Russ Williams will be joining us today as always, usually. So we're out having appointments or stuff. We try to coordinate where we both can be on, but he'll kind of give us a rundown what's going on in the mortgage industry. Our quick tip we usually do every week beforehand. So I guess my quick tip is more of a safety tip. I went to the Bellevue Volunteer Fire Department pancake feed on Sunday, and they did like a dollhouse burn, and showed the kids and stuff why you keep your bedroom doors closed to not fuel that fire, and oxygen fuels it. But one interesting tidbit that I got from the fire chief there at the Blair Fire Department, very knowledgeable. He kind of just asked the question, like how much time in a newer house, newer construction house, probably built in the last 10 years, he said roughly, how long on average do you have to get out of your house in a house fire? So there's some people saying 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, but the answer was 3 to 4 minutes that you have to get out of your house. And he said the reason why is the construction materials that are being used now are, some synthetics. You have a lot of glues, resins, you think about like the spray foams and just the paint that's being used in today's new construction homes, burns hotter and burns faster. He says old homes, he said on average was, went from 19 minutes that you had to get out of the house. Now we're down to 3 to 4 minutes. So I thought that was just kind of an interesting tidbit. I had my, essentially my soon to be 6-year-old, soon to be 3-year-old that sat very intently, watching the house and listening and just kind of, why do we keep our bedroom door closed? One, to keep you in the bedroom, for parents at bedtime, but the other is safety, and he also talked about keeping those doors closed, because if you open them when the fire department's there, that's what they get, that flash fire that comes out, kind of like from that Backdraft movie. He says they try to obviously vent it through the roof so it doesn't come back out through the windows and the doors when they're trying to enter in to put out the fire and help you get out of your house and things of that sort. So I guess our tidbit from there is, 3 to 4 minutes to get out. So that's something my daughter, she's like, well, Dad, do we need to practice? And I'm like, absolutely. So we'll probably be doing kind of our own little fire drills. I know they've been doing fire drills at school, but obviously that's home ownership, that's home safety. So just have a plan in place, knowing you have about 3 to 5 minutes to get out. So obviously you have a meeting place and stuff like that. So, but I encourage you to contact your local fire station, or if you got one in the area that you take your kids to, if you have kids, or just kind of, they'll, get their professional advice in that regard. So, but, and I thank them for all that they do and their volunteering and things of that sort, at least up here in Blair. So, but, so along with the what's going on in the real estate market, let's take a look at the street view here at the average, what we've seen over the last 7 days. So we have 574 new listings that went live over the last week. We had 354 new contracts written, so the buyer activity. And then we had 487 happy new homeowners this last week. So we're seeing number drop down just a little bit. I think we're at 662 last week for new listings, that came alive. I think the weather is obviously a hot weekend. We're going to come down to some nice fall temperatures, see some activity in there. I know our numbers overall from last year are down about, at least at our Berkshire company, we had our office meeting and mastermind meeting. We were down, I think we did about 100 or 1,000 units last month, and in September usually it ticks up a little bit. We're actually down to 900, so we're seeing a little bit of slowdown in the activity here, just in what the market's doing. And I think what we're kind of taking a look at, and I can go into more detail, but obviously in a shorter video, but with interest rates being high, I think that's kind of damming up that pent-up demand of people that want to buy a house, but with interest rates being up, and when that dam breaks, Mark Brace, that's out of Michigan, did a video or a talk at our office, and just talking about the next 6 to 12 months is probably gonna be the best buying time, because just simple demographics. I can go in more detail on that on a different video, but and if those interest rates come down, you have a lot more buying pressure, more buyers in the buyer pool. Ultimately, that's going to push prices up, simple supply and demand in regards to that. So, but let's take a look at 30,000 foot view here of what is in the Omaha and Lincoln MLS. So we're at 2819, Omaha, Lincoln MLS, active homes for sale, Douglas, Sarpy County, 1610. Existing homes in Douglas, Sarpy County is 776. So we're seeing those numbers go up. So we're seeing more inventory. New construction staying about the same. Months of inventory staying about the same. So we're still having those houses come off the market. Average sold price is staying about the same over the last couple of weeks here. So, but still great time to buy. Maybe we'll do a separate video of kind of what we're seeing on what the overall market is doing. I mean, it's basically similar to what we talked about a couple of years ago with the demographics of just how many houses have been built in the United States over the decades, and how we basically were averaging 22 to 23 million homes per decade, I guess. And in the decade of 2010 to 2019, we had 5.8 million homes. And our average, home, family formations is going up and increasing because our population has increased every, year prior to the year before. So it's just simple supply and demand. Then you throw in interest rates, which I think is kind of putting that brakes on it a little bit for that buyer pool, because your buying power has gone down a little bit as interest rates have gone up. But those prices, that we're seeing, maybe this fall, plateauing a little bit. But I think, as we look at the dam, when it's all holding back all the buyers, and if that thing breaks, and we see interest rates come down potentially, in the near future later down the road, we don't have a crystal ball, but just looking at kind of the demographics and what we're seeing, still a great time to buy if you can get into something. I know we talk about it every week, but we just try to get you that information so you can sit down, give you that information. And if you decide to buy or sell, we'd love to be part of that process to coach and educate you through that. So, but on the mortgage side of it, let's get in here with Russ and see what he's seeing this week and what his feelings are on kind of the general gist of everything here. So how are we doing, Russ?
Not too bad. We dodged a bit of a bullet last weekend. The government shutdown was scheduled to take place on Saturday night, and they passed a continuing resolution to kick the can down the road for 45 days. Which means they're funding the government for another 45 days, and then we have to hopefully come to a solution again at 45 days from now. Pretty much immediately following passing of that resolution, we issued $275 billion in federal treasuries. Now, the important thing there is that mortgage rates are driven by the yield on bonds, and if we have more supply of bonds, going back to your conversation of supply and demand, that generally pushes the price of bonds down, the yield up, and mortgage rates rose. And so we sit now at $33 trillion in national debt, and that $275 billion in bond issuance earlier this week, combined with the existing bonds on the market, pushed mortgage rates a little bit higher. So what we're really looking for right now is flight to quality in the stock market and elsewhere, which means we need to see some weakening in the jobs market for investors to start to pump more money back into mortgage bonds and bonds in general, which would drive yields down a little bit. So whether we have that happen, we may start to see some cracks on Friday when we have the non-farm payroll report come out, or it may kick down there a little bit further. But rates are up a little bit from where they were last week, and we'll be looking for some weaker economic data in order to see those rates improve. We eventually, it will happen. It's just a matter of when. But just as you'd mentioned earlier, Mark, we weren't building enough homes in the last decade compared to the 6 decades before that. And we have huge numbers of household formations that need housing. So you have an excellent window over the next 6 to 12 months to buy a home. But they're a little bit expensive right now as far as interest rates go, but you can always refinance that when rates come down. So I highly encourage you to get in touch with Mark and his team to buy a house now while your opportunity is good.
Yeah, and I just don't see how it's going to get necessarily any cheaper, because ultimately, that's supply and demand. I mean, ultimately, we don't have a crystal ball. We can't predict the future, barring any kind of crazy thing happening. It's just, you look at the numbers on it, in that regard. So it's just a great time, to get out there. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to think is what I'm trying to say. It's may not be the greatest time as far as price point wise, but it's a great opportunity to get in as if prices go up, to get in now, in that regards, before you have a lot of buyer pressure, out there, if and when rates come down a little bit and everyone comes off the fence and wants to get in there. But yeah, cause I mean, you don't see, rent go down. I mean, rent prices are still going up, and those that are renting houses, it's like, if you might as well bite the bullet and take that higher interest rate with the opportunity that you could potentially lower that payment down,
it's interesting. It's interesting, Mark. Some of the respected people on TV, such as Diana Olick, had been talking for 120 months, over 10 years, that she anticipated home values would drop, and they haven't. They've been continuing to go up, and it is all supply and demand, as you pointed out. And when we've had similar conditions to what we've been in for the last 6 to 18 months, the year following has, on average, seen home values go up nationwide by about 8% per year. So if you're thinking you want to wait for lower rates, you may be paying 8% more for the house next year. I encourage you to get into the market now. You always say it, the best 2 times to buy are, 20 years ago and today. And you don't, what is the other thing you say? You don't wait to buy real estate, you buy real estate and wait. And that is no more true than what it is today.
Well, that's something too, that if you get into a house, you only have 10% down or something to that sort of 5, and that home appreciates over the year, you can basically, get that principal or that mortgage insurance premium taken off sooner based on that appreciation. I know I've had clients bought houses in the last 5 years that they thought it was going to take, 10 years or, or whatever to get rid of that. But just with the acceleration of that appreciation, you have that equity, plus you have your balance pay down, as you're paying down your principal on there. And so you're getting that. And then if you need to, then you save that extra $100 to $200 a month on the mortgage insurance a month, and that comes off. You can, that's obviously if inflation goes up and things of that sort as we're seeing, you can put that into your budget, to feed your family for all intents and purposes. So
and for people, for people that are trying to save up money in this rapidly appreciating real estate market, they're not saving money as fast as what that home price is increasing. So to your point, buying a home with private mortgage insurance, you've at least gotten in the door. Your loan amount isn't going to be going higher on a fully amortizing loan, but your property value very likely will through appreciation, and we can get that mortgage insurance off there. So you don't need 20% down payment. First time buyers can get in for 3% down conventional, Mark.
Yeah. Well, and I know as an investor myself, so rent's going up because ultimately our insurance, payments are going up. And then the tax assessor came out, and bumping houses up. And so, those investors that are out there that have those rental houses, and if you're paying rent, they're not necessarily doing it to pad their pockets to make more money. They're doing it to cover their, they're not going to, the most investors right now, if they're buying houses, are lucky to be cash flowing, with those high interest rates. But the investors looking at it, that if you are having that appreciation, I want to get my foot in the door and buy it now. And then in 3 years, 2 years, whatever, you're having that appreciation. You can refinance, you can pull money out to maybe go buy another investment property with that appreciation. And so you're kind of taking that, with a grain of salt, that you're looking at, there's many different ways to invest in the real estate, and cash flow is one portion of that versus your appreciation, your pay down, all that kind of fun stuff that you can use that avenue. But like I said, if you're renting a house, that landlord is basically moving it up because tax assess just came out and bumped a bunch of people, just even the homeowners, so that's going to get passed on. That's going to go up, where those renters aren't taking any benefit of that appreciation or anything like that when they're renting that house. They're just, they're just kind of staying even keel, in that regards. And as it goes up, then, you got to rebudget and things of that sort. But at least if you have that, equity build up in your house, if you're buying a house. So, but anyways, yeah, I think it would probably ran over our time. We try to stay under, but anything else you got to add?
Nope. Enjoy the week. We're going to get chilly this weekend, but it's going to be beautiful fall weather. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Awesome. So cool. Well, everybody take care and have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the weather. And if we can help you in any way, give us a holler. Happy to do so.